After leaving the Knox house, Owen Pierce immediately started scheming. Of course, he wanted to get revenge on Charlie and get back the clam Charlie had taken from him. But that wasn't enough. Since he was in Orris Hill, he also wanted to build up his reputation, attract a following, and boost his career. So, he came up with a plan that he thought would kill two birds with one stone. He would use Charlie to make an example of someone, and that would make all of Orris Hill respect him. Charlie had no idea that this so-called master, Owen Pierce, was planning to use him to make a public statement. That evening, he was getting ready to go grocery shopping and make dinner when he got a surprise call from Warnia. He answered, and Warnia's tone was serious. She got straight to the point. "Mr. Charlie, that Owen Pierce has invited a few experts in antiques, energy consultancy, and metaphysics to a banquet at the White family's house. He asked me to see if you have time to attend." "The White family? What kind of family are they?" Warnia said. "A middle-class family. They have two sons, Gerald and Fred White, both of them." "Why would he choose their house for this?" Charlie asked, confused. Warnia explained. "The White family has been having a rough time lately. The son, Fred White, and his nephew, Gerald, have been running into one problem after another. The family business has also taken a nosedive. So the head of the White family begged Owen Pierce to come and help them with their home's energy alignment." She continued, "But I think there's more to it. Owen Pierce has invited a bunch of metaphysics experts. It can't be as simple as him just trying to make some money off the White family. He must have something else in mind." Charlie smiled and said casually, "I snatched that clam from him at the auction and left him speechless. I'm sure he wants to get back at me. I bet he's setting a trap for me this time, right?" With a slight smile, Charlie added, "But I'll go. I want to see what tricks he has up his sleeve, face to face." Seeing that he'd agreed, Warnia said, "Great, it's at the White family's house. Let's go together tomorrow morning. I'll drive over and pick you up." "Sounds good." Early the next morning, Warnia drove to pick up Charlie, and they headed to the White family's estate. The White family's villa was located on a mountainside in the suburbs with beautiful scenery. The homes in this area were all built in a classic antique style. The White family had spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the decor. They usually used the place to host important guests or entertain friends. Outside the pavilion by the lake, there were dozens of oak armchairs. About a dozen invited guests were already seated, talking amongst themselves, with laughter breaking out every now and then. Sitting at the head of the table was a heavy-set middle-aged man. He was Fred White's father, Solomon White, and sitting beside him was Owen Pierce. Besides those two, Charlie also spotted a couple of familiar faces, Lucas Finley and Wyatt Gilmore, who were with him. When Lucas Finley saw Charlie walk in, he gave him a nod. Solomon White shot him a sideways glance and snorted. He obviously knew that Fred and Gerald had lost out to Charlie, so he wasn't exactly happy to see him. Terry Castillo quickly stood up to greet them and said, "Mr. Charlie, Miss Smith, you made it." Charlie nodded and smiled. "I just came to see what Master Pierce is all about." A middle-aged man in a formal robe asked in surprise, "Is that the guy who bought the final item at the auction for $1 million?" Terry smiled and introduced him. "That's Mr. Wade." "What? Master Wade?" Solomon White glanced at Charlie with disdain and then smirked. "The title of master doesn't mean much these days. Any nobody can call themselves a master. The truly capable ones, like Owen Pierce, are usually much more low-key." As soon as he finished, an awkward silence fell over the group. It wasn't just Solomon White being rude. Most of them agreed. Charlie, with his age and casual clothes, just didn't look like a master. The other masters here were all well-established figures in the metaphysical world. The idea of calling a young guy like Charlie Master Wade didn't sit right with many of them. Owen stood up and smiled calmly. "It's quite all right. I wanted to use this beautiful place to host this banquet and get to know all of you. As for who's a real master and who's just chasing fame, well, we'll see the difference soon enough." After Owen spoke, everyone couldn't help but sneer at Charlie. They thought, this man was obviously just here for the attention. What else could it be? Warnia also frowned slightly. She knew Owen would target Charlie, but she didn't expect the atmosphere to get so tense the moment they walked in. Charlie, however, looked unfazed. He walked over to his chair and sat down, ignoring everyone around him as if he didn't notice a thing. When Solomon White saw that everyone had arrived, he spoke up. "Since everyone's here, I'll get started. Today, Master Pierce has graciously used our family's home to host this banquet. First, he wanted to get to know all of you, and second, he wanted to learn from everyone here. How do we compare?" someone asked. "Naturally, it's based on the level of our magic." At this time, Owen stood up and explained. "The rules are simple. As you all know, there are 5 disciplines in our field of metaphysics. You can choose the category you excel at and pick an opponent to compete against him. To make things more interesting, the White family is sponsoring the funds. Each competition has a prize of $5 million. The winner takes the $5 million, and the loser will still receive $50,000. The rules seemed fair, and with money on the line, many people nodded in agreement. People in the metaphysical community usually keep to themselves and don't like to show their hand. But today, everyone at the banquet was a skilled practitioner. Competing against each other wasn't just a chance to see what everyone was capable of, but also a way to win some prize money. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. "Pfft, just to learn from each other?" Charlie scoffed. He knew Owen hadn't organized this banquet just to show off his skills. Solomon White let the murmurs die down before continuing. "However, just offering a cash prize might not be enough to get everyone excited. After all, everyone here is successful, and a few $1,000,000 isn't a life-changing amount. So, to make things more interesting, we've added another condition. The winner can either take the $5 million prize, or they can take something from the loser. The final winner will be declared the first master of the metaphysical community of this district. From now on, every practitioner in the district will have to show them respect. Any major undertaking in the district will require their consent." As soon as he finished, the entire yard fell silent. Then, a moment later, the place erupted in commotion. Many people looked visibly upset and started talking all at once. What if the challenger picks a category the other person isn't skilled in? The regional metaphysical scene has always been about mutual respect, not one person ruling over everyone. This is just a power grab. This is ridiculous. We've always done our own thing. Now we're supposed to take orders from someone else? That's insane. Besides, some of the people here aren't even from here, right? The crowd buzzed with discussion. They hadn't expected that this so-called banquet was actually a trap dinner, a scheme for Owen Pierce to take over Orwis Hill. At that moment, Solomon said, "Everyone, please calm down. Mr. Pierce is just thinking about the future of our metaphysical world. Before, we were all scattered, but now we can organize, form an alliance, and elect a leader. In the future, it'll be easier to deal with our enemies. This is a good thing. As for the categories you're not skilled in, if we're going to choose a leader, it has to be someone who is proficient in all aspects, herbal remedies, divination, and life in general to be qualified." While he was speaking, some people strongly objected, but others were starting to consider it. After all, if they won, they could take something valuable from the loser. If they came in first, they could command the entire Orwis Hill metaphysical circle. You have to understand, metaphysics is more than just an academic pursuit. There's a huge industry behind it, and it can also attract the attention of some very powerful people. The temptation of money and power is something few can refuse, and some people were already swayed. "Of course," Owen stood up and said, "I'm not forcing anyone. If you're afraid, you can back out now. But if you do, you won't get another chance to join, and you'll be completely shut out." Everyone hesitated for a moment. The risks were high, but the opportunities were huge. They were all thinking it over. After all, the idea of becoming the leader was a great temptation, and no one thought they were bad enough to lose. Charlie sat in his chair and said nothing. Owen's ambition was clear. This was his way of getting a foothold on the mainland. However, Charlie had no interest in this metaphysical society and planned to just sit back and watch the show. Soon, a middle-aged man with a short beard stood up. The middle-aged man casually pulled out a runic tablet the size of his palm. He waved it in the air, and the tablet gleamed brightly. "I am Callum Jones from Skyview City," he announced. "I'd like to challenge Owen Pierce's skills in a casual conversation." The Jones family was a well-known family in the world of metaphysics, specializing in tarot reading, a tradition inherited from their ancestor during the Thompson era. Callum Jones was the 46th generation descendant of the Jones family, which was famous for its accurate readings. He was a big deal in Skyview City, and he was naturally proud. The first challenge was for Owen Pierce. "All right!" The crowd burst into applause. Callum Jones lifted his chin arrogantly. "This runic tablet was passed down from the Northgate estates and has helped many masters of tarot reading. As for who should be number one in the district, I think the Jones family deserves to be at the top." Owen also stepped into the center of the yard, nodding slightly at Callum with a smile. "That runic tablet is indeed a fine piece, but it won't be yours for much longer." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small pouch. After untying the drawstring, he took out a 1-inch long piece of rune paper. This paper also had a faint glow, with intricate crimson glyphs drawn on it. A guardian's charm! When the crowd saw this golden charm, they gasped in unison. Warnia leaned over and explained to Charlie, "The guardian's charm is made by 18 priests who chant scriptures over it for 7 to 49 days. It's blessed and purified, and it's a powerful protective charm against evil." Charlie just smiled slightly. "It's okay, nothing special." Hearing his comment, everyone turned to shoot him disgusted looks. Owen snorted coldly. "He has no real skill, but he sure knows how to talk big." Everyone knew that the protective charm was a rare treasure. It's not easy to find a group of 18 accomplished priests, and when it's being made, the timing and location have to be perfect. The failure rate for the blessing process is as high as 90%, and the one in Owen's hand was glowing with golden light. It was truly a one-of-a-kind find. "Enough talk. Let's draw a card," Callum huffed. He then made several complex hand signs, chanting an incantation under his breath. After a moment, he declared, "The reading starts now. In 15 minutes, wind and thunder will come from the west." Owen smiled faintly, and without even moving, he said, "The wind is wrapped with thunder. To be precise, this isn't natural wind, but the shockwave from an explosion, and it's man-made. It's going to lead to some jail time." Callum frowns and shook his head. "Impossible. My tarot card doesn't show anyone involved."